Hello and welcome to Mini Mouse Films. I'm Marcus J. Richardson and today we are reviewing this little bad boy, the Integral Ultima 32GB CFAst card. Now I did record this quite a while ago and failed to record the opening file or failed to save the opening file, so I'm doing it again here. So I may change, my clothes may change. I actually go from this GoPro to a mobile phone and then back to the GoPro because the mobile phone I'm using is poo. But I was just doing a quick review on my phone. Anyway, I'm talking too much and you're bored. You want to know about the CFAst card. Is it useful for a Ursa Mini Pro? Well, that's what we use it for, our Ursa Mini Pro. Anyway, I digress. At the moment, the camera is set to 4K, 25 frames a second, and let's have a look at how it's getting on.
Can't quite make it out because sadly my phone is pooper scoop.
After 1 minute recording, it stopped.
So let's try now. If we go into the menu, let's just drop it down to 2K and see whether or not, see how long that records for. So no problem whatsoever. Right, I'll tell you what we'll do now then. Let's try a higher frame rate. Put it up to 60. And again, it's dropped down now to 8 minutes recording time. And let's give that a go. So it's recording, so far so good. So in 2K, at 60 frames a second, this bad boy is recording. 32GB, as you see there, it's apparently writes up to 520 megabits per second. The Ultima Pro X professional grade. It cost £1 a gig basically, and if you buy the 64, that's $49.99, so that's less than £1 a gig. As you see, it says here, CFAst, ideal for and compatible for high performance DSLRs and cinema broadcast quality video cameras. This is obviously a cinema camera. Now it doesn't do the 4K, which it does say capture high quality raw images and smooth 4K and full HD video. Fast transfer speed reduces post-production time, which it will do. Now it is doing 2K at 60 frames per second on my cinema camera. However, it did struggle with 4K. There's no two ways about it. But depending on what you want, you know, if you do need to film in 4K, this memory card is not for you. But as an additional, I mean, I've got this other memory card here. Is a Biwin memory card, which we've reviewed before. I'll include the review on the video now, because Ash has done a great review of the Biwin card. Sadly, Biwin went bust and no longer exists anymore, because that memory card is brilliant, films in 4.6K, even at higher frame rate, it's great. But as you see here, this has done 2 full minutes now, 2 full minutes, 60 frames a second, in 2K, jobs are good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go one level up. We're going to do off-speed recording. We're going to window the sensor. And, oh, we need to go down to HD. Forgot about that. Memory.
Let's have a look at the screen, which actually we can see a little better on the GoPro. So, we've just done it in 2K. We've done it in 4K. It didn't work in 4K. We did it in 2K, and we did it in 2K at 60 frames a second, which is, as you can see, 60 there. And we're filming in 2K. Now, we're going to drop down to HD. And we are also going to turn on off-speed recording and window the sensor. And then that should mean that we can get the off-speed frame rate up to 120 frames per second. Not 12, 120 frames per second. Okay, now let's go back. And obviously we've not got much time recording, but let's see how it gets on in 1080p, 120 frames a second. So far, so good. Oh, there we go. Now it is stopped. As you can see, it is struggled. It got 56 seconds before it stopped. So at 120, it cannot cope. It is too much. Yeah. So there we go. There you have it. Now this memory card, the Integral 32GB CFAst card, you should only really get it for the Ursa Mini Pro if you are planning to just film maybe like an event or something, and you just need some extra HD content. If you, as I say, in 2K, it did film at 60 frames a second, which I imagine HD. Well, do you know what? Sorry, let's just try it at 100 frames a second and see how it gets on there. 100 frames a second. Bring that down to 50. So we've got 50. We've got all the right settings there, and we are going to have a crack at that. See how that gets on at 100 frames a second, as you can see there, 100 frames a second. Well, it's gone further than the last one did at 120 frames a second. So actually, at HD at 100 frames a second, this seems to be doing a good job. It's got to 1.5 minutes now, which, to be fair, I'm not sure what you're going to film 100 frames a second for longer than that, really. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. There we go. 1:53. It does struggle and has now stopped. So not perfect. Not perfect. And then it's a little bit of a bugger to get to. There we go. All right. Now let's just go back and just do switch off the window sensor and the off-speed recording. Let's go back down to 25 and see how long it does last in 4K. Well, let's just try Ultra HD, which is in between 4K and 2K. It's still classed as 4K Ultra HD. See how long that lasts. There we go, 42 seconds. It has now stopped at 42 seconds. So the lowest resolution you can record in successfully on this is 2K, which is 2K. So I would say your optimum settings for this, 2K, you know, let's have another go at trying to get, because 50 is what I would normally film at, because obviously in the UK we use 25 frames a second. You should be using multiples of 25, so 50 would be the slow-mo we would use. So let's just have another look at 50 frames a second there, because 50 frames a second is something we would use. We're filming in 2K now, so 2K at 50 frames a second. This is, for us, what we would use for, say, a lot of the sports we film, boxing, any other martial arts. We do tend to film at 50 frames a second in 2K, which gives a little bit of room when we output in HD. If we do want to punch in slightly, of course, it doesn't give us as much room as if we were filming in 4K, but we're talking about room, and you don't have any room on the memory cards when using 4K. We have about 400 gigs of memory card space. This new memory card today of 34 gigs adds a little bit more, but not a massive amount, because I did want to test this card before I spent too much money on one. And I do think I will go and buy the 64 gigabyte card. It's $49.99, so that's less than £1 a gig. And for a little bit extra HD content, maybe while you're switching cards around, or you know, you need a card to run on to another card when it's running out of space, it might be a good little addition, because it does give you like an extra minute or two at 4K, or a minute before it does begin to drop frames. So there you have it. It will still record, I imagine, but it is just dropping frames, so it's not really usable. But you know, right now we're filming in 2K at 50 frames a second, and there doesn't seem to be a problem. We'll keep going to 2 minutes, see how it does. If it gets to 2 minutes, we'll call that a success. Review of the card. We've actually used it on a job since, filming some boxing. I did only use the card when I was switching out our Biwin cards, which here is up there. There'll be a little thing to the Biwin review that Ash did, and we've got a couple. I'll put a video up around at the end as well, so you can link to that, because that card is amazing. A lot more expensive, mind, cheaper than other ones, but still amazing card. This one, obviously, while we were switching those out, I was putting this in, but I didn't film in 4K. I never filmed in 4K on that job. It was specifically a 2K job, because it's boxing, it's 10 rounds, lots of film. So this card was the boss. It did the job. It was perfect at 50 frames a second on this card. Slow-mo at 2K, no problem. 4K, no. But 2K, 1080p, absolutely, mwah. Let's shut this down now. Get both memory cards out. Well, we've got three different types of memory cards. So these are our three different types of memory cards. We've got the SD XC2. Don't know if you can see that, but if you've never seen one of these memory cards before, they look very different to a normal memory card. As you can see, they have, I'm trying to look for another memory card somewhere. Bear with. So a normal memory card on the back looks like that, and the SD2 memory card on the back looks like that. So you can see the difference there between the two memory cards. The Ursa Mini Pro does take SD2. These are really, really good. We've not done a review of these yet, but really, really good cards. And our CFAst cards, well, these, we've got two of these, which is the Biwin. It's amazing. Review video there now, which Ash has done a great review of. These are great cards. These are great cards. Filming in 4.6K at higher frame rate, it does drop a little a few frames, but literally that's when you're pushing the camera to its very limits. We shoot in 4K on this all the time at a higher frame rate, and it's no problem. We've shot in 60 frames a second on this, no problem, and at 2K, 120 frames a second on this, no problem at all. This is a beast. But the card we've been reviewing today, which is the Integral CFAst 2.0 card, as you see, here's the box. So we did go through it in a lot more detail throughout the rest of the video. I'm going to give this card for 4K. Not very good, 1 out of 10, because you're only going to get a minute or so. Well, not 1 out of 10, let's say 2 out of 10, because you're only going to get a minute or so out of it. However, if you're just going to film in 2K, even at 50, 60 frames a second, this is the one. This is fine. This works on your Ursa Mini Pro. This works. It isn't good for 4K. I'm saying that to you now. But for 2K, HD, even up to 60 frames a second, this is bob on. You can even get 100 frames a second out of it for about a minute. But, you know, it's not perfect. It's $34.99 for 32 gigs or $49.99 for 64 gigs, both on Amazon. I mean, it's 10 times cheaper. It's 10 times cheaper than a normal CFAst card. So just bear that in mind. Remember that. And yeah, thanks for watching. Until next time, I've been Marcus J. Richardson. This has been Mini Mammoth Films Reviews. Keep in touch. Please subscribe, like, do all that. Oh no, I've just dropped it. Bye.